Chase by Dallas, make it hurt.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Commercial Real Estate Investing, the Black Community Edition. I'm your humble host, Dominic Green, Managing Partner of Atenico Commercial Real Estate Services here in the DFW area. And today, I want to stop in for another episode of Education Wednesdays or Knowledge Wednesdays. Today I want to kind of give a recap. I went to a multifamily meeting yesterday. Just get information on the ground, see what's going on, connect with some people, and all that jazz that you do. But it was some good information that was presented there. They had property managers there, asset managers there. They had an investor there that has $1 billion plus in assets who was talking about things that he was doing in Texas. So kind of today, just kind of drop in, kind of recap, and then also talk about just chime in a little bit about when I was talking about office a little bit, how there was one property I looked at that's in a pretty decent location in Irving, and it's like 50% occupied. But from my experience in looking for tenants for retail, and then also those for industrial and shallow bays, basically for flex space, it's a pretty decent area in my opinion. And there's investments being there from large Fortune 500 companies. You have a huge population. Income growth is there. The type of talent that's usually there, as far as individuals that I noticed, are a lot in the IT telecom industry, some software. To me, it's kind of a newer version, in my opinion, or a younger version with the work-live experience to the telecom corridor, which would be Richardson, for those you're familiar with the DFW. But you got the added benefit of entertainment, because you're right there next to Las Colinas, and the airport is literally 10 minutes away. So people fly in, fly out, hotels, places to eat, all the good stuff. And then if you need to, you can always hit downtown, which is only 20 minutes away. So kind of the best of both worlds. But nonetheless, I took some notes, and so I'm kind of going to do a quick recap. I'm here in the office today, knocking out a little work. So these were asset managers from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac that came to the event. Had a discussion, and there was a third-party servicer as well that was there. And they were just kind of breaking things down. But one of the things that the asset managers here managers were highly noting is that they have been noticing a lot of properties with deferred maintenance. And with that being said, they're tracking those particular owners. So for those of you that are owning multifamily, looking to do multifamily, there's something to pay attention to, because they've already been, what they were saying is they're going back to this document that you signed, which is the loan docs, and they will enforce those rights if necessary, to which they will have you put on what they call a check list, or the naughty list, which in a sense, if you get there, I mean, they say, people come off of it, but it's very, very few. But once you get on their naughty list, you would never ever be able to get a loan from them ever. So you won't get a loan from Fannie Mae, and Freddie Mac has a similar thing, but you won't be able to get a loan from them ever. And those of you know from investing, um, you know, your banks, those type of partners, your lenders are your biggest partners. And it just so happens that Freddie and Fannie are the largest, right? I mean, they're offering up to, especially Fannie, up to 80% leverage, which means you only have to come with 20%. And they're one of the largest buyers or providers, because they're quasi-government, right, of debt for multifamily. So, that's just one of those things that they were hitting, pay attention to. Um, they kind of walked us through the process of how how it goes. They did emphasize communication is key. I'm always big on that as well. When I always talk to a client or just in general, how do you like to be communicated with? Good, bad, and indifferent. And let them know that I'm gonna talk to you probably sooner about the bad things that is going on, as opposed to the great things that are going on. And that's just my policy, man. Just be upfront, open, tell you the bad. Let's figure out a way to get through it. So they're kind of the same way. They talk about how they're going on inspections, letting the people know that they're coming to do inspections, and they don't have the property ready. They said some of the biggest violations, were down units, deferred maintenance, that's been notated prior to, and they still haven't fixed. Your trip hazards, which is usually the parking lot, the stairs, paint peels in certain areas. They said the most common thing that people don't pay attention to is the fire extinguishers, that they expired, so they haven't got those serviced or checked. So that was a big deal. They also mentioned about how they request financials, which I assume they do that anyway. Request financials, annually, quarterly. But if you do not provide that information, they do charge you. And it's a penalty of about $500 per document. So it's 500 for I want to say the income statement, and then the rent roll. Because they're trying to check and make sure that the asset's okay, because that's the only recourse that they have in most cases. And then in some cases, depending on the violations, they can convert that non-recourse to recourse. And if you don't know what that means, is typically when, especially your big guys, when they're getting these loans, they're going to get non-recourse loans. And what that means is they are not personally liable for the debt, that the only recourse for the lender is the property itself, which is a good thing to have, right? So in essence, you got to make sure you take care of that. Now, there are what's called bad boy carve-outs. So if you do fraud and all that stuff, the scandalous stuff, then you can be in violation of that. And then there you go. It turns into a recourse loan where you become personally liable for the debt, or any shortcomings of the debt if they need to short sell it. So good thing to pay attention to. They do. They talked about their rating system, 1 to 5, 5 being bad, 1 being good, as far as deferred maintenance. Because they do a management survey, the physical condition of the property, talk to you as well. The biggest thing they say, just make sure you're active and you know what's going on, or have somebody there that knows what's going on. They're talking about things that you have to communicate with them. Definitely let them know change of management, buying out a partner. Because again, I get it from their perspective. And, this is just from me, studying as far as looking to get to the point where we're at now to progress to investing, is that, treat them as a partner, right? So you want to let your partner know what's going on, especially if they're bringing 80% of the funds to the deal, right? Why wouldn't you let them know? Good, bad, or indifferent. They talked about, with the process, if the property's still in bad condition, they'll actually, get another property condition report, tell you need to fix it within 30 days. And because you scored on their rating system either between a 4 and 5. And if you don't have that fixed within 30 days, they'll send you basically demand letter, which means they can just accelerate and say, hey, all these funds are due, or foreclose on you. They kind of call it a dual track program. So they'll be monitoring. He said, the guy from Fannie Mae said because he manages like, I think he said manages like 30 some people. And each person has like almost 1,000 properties or something like that. But nonetheless, you know, he said every day, we're cycling through, we're trying to communicate. But if we have to, we'll put you on that list. And when you get on that list, it becomes a problem. And that's the problems you don't want to have, basically. This guy flew all the way out from, I guess, the regional headquarters in Cali. So nonetheless, he said, man, just take care of the property and be on your maintenance. Even though with COVID and all that stuff, do what you need to do to take care of the residents, take care of the property, communicate any issues that you're having. They're willing to work with you, but hiding and stuff like that just ain't gonna cut it. And that's kind of the thesis that you had from a lot of the guys. Even the guys from Freddie Mac was saying their biggest thing is people turning or offering some of their units as Airbnbs. They said do not allow that. That is a complete violation. So for those that may be thinking about doing that, you might want to double check that if you're getting a Freddie Mac loan, small balance loan from them. But he said double check the rent rolls because a lot of times you don't know it because it can be something that's month to month. But once you identify it, they can kind of help you through. And these was kind of the services, well, the originators that was there as well. Just make sure, if it is Airbnb, you're not going to do it. You're just going to do month to month ahead of time before they go put the loan through. Another thing they said, so then the property managers, they had a council of property managers come up there. The range from units under management from, I want to say maybe 3,000 units to 7,000 units roughly. These guys had plenty of experience. But they say right now, rent is picking up. Rent growth is picking up. They said especially here in Texas, we had the Texas rent relief package. So they've been able to recoup a lot of past rent that was deferred for people who couldn't pay, who were struggling because of COVID, lost jobs. They are saying that they are having some difficulty of finding good property managers for the properties, as well as good maintenance people. So it sounds like there's a premium going on there. If you know anything, you have a lot of these restaurants, and I was at a restaurant for Father's Day, and they were talking about how they were short-staffed because, the amount of money they were making from working, making a little bit more on unemployment. So they were kind of understaffed, struggling a little bit, but nonetheless provided great service, and it was a Black-owned restaurant, Savory Kitchen, for those who are familiar or not or want to check it out. But yeah, they were talking about they were recovering from the prior manager. They was covering a good portion of the rent. One of the guys who was starting new, but he's had years of experience of property management working for someone else. His thought process was that the KPIs, the KPI metrics should be driven by and provided by the property management company. And then others kind of emphasize that, hey, work together to create a plan and let them execute, and hold them accountable to the plan that you guys created. Instead of trying to change the plan every week, every month. I get it. They like, hey, let us do our own thing. This is what we do. We don't need other people involved. And then as far as the KPIs, they were like, especially this guy, he was like, by us providing it, it allows you to have numbers that something you don't have to create, and that's different across your entire portfolio. It's one set of numbers that allows you to see the variance, especially when they come up with the budgets. So you know what's going on with the property and it's consistent throughout. So that was one of his thought processes. And then one of the guys was like, if we have this plan, we got to have a plan for the property, for what we're going to do. I mean, and they want to make sure that you have the money to actually for the plan. So one of the biggest things, the biggest turnoff for them was like they spent all this time creating a plan. They said they was going to have this money for, deferred maintenance, rehab, value add, so forth and so on. And turns out they don't got the money, so they're unable to perform. And then it goes back and forth. It's like, why, hey, you aren't performing, right? Why are we meeting expectations? One property manager was like, what he likes to do, and I preface this as well. I come up with my own particular numbers. You come up with your numbers as far as from an underwriting standpoint, and let's compare. And then I'm kind of the same way because their process of thinking is going to be different than mine from an ownership standpoint, and theirs is going to be from how it actually should run based on the experience they have and the numbers they have access to that probably are more in depth. And then just kind of work together, compare, and see where things can be done. Because the biggest thing they said is, you'll have a lot of people tell you, or from ownership who's doing the underwriting may think, hey, they can actually hit a turnaround for repositioning in 12 months, maybe 18 months. But they're saying, everything is taking a little bit longer with everything that's going on, labor, materials, you name it, right? So the expectations should be a little bit longer. So he was saying things are taking a little bit longer. So you probably are looking at 18, maybe 24 months as far as the shorter time frame that you're promising your investors that you're going to hit these numbers. So it helps to be a little bit realistic, but also helps to collaborate and have a conversation about it. Another big thing, in which I do anyway, even from helping clients when releasing space, looking at the spaces, looking at the competition, seeing what they're offering, how does it affect their business. And I would do this for multifamily as well. Like, shop the competition. I learned that early when I got my first, job in retail. Shop the competition, find out what they're selling for, what their pitch is, and how we combat that, because that's always going to come up when they come to you, right? So he was saying, drive the comps. It's great to see the stuff on spreadsheets, the OMs, but actually go and actually see it and feel it. Get the presentation, see what's actually going on, get a feel for what the experience is, because that's going to help you do a little bit better job in underwriting and set the expectations of what can actually be achievable in the market. And then, they gave a little bit tidbits about, putting, things that give you the big bang for your buck, which, like C-class, black splashes, minor things, lights and stuff like that. Some new paint. They say still, and that, it's kind of known, your A-class and your B-pluses, technology packages, thermostats, doors, packages, gates, all that good stuff. But one of the guys did say that, his thing is he's kind of trying to lead the charge more so on the technology side. So where there's a virtualization of the back office. So instead of having all the leasing agents in the office answering the phones, there's actually an AI system that answers the phones. And this job is to answer pretty much not basic questions, but general questions that a person would generally ask, and to schedule you as an appointment so you can come into the facility, so you can come to the apartment complex, which makes sense because it's one thing to see online, but it's another thing to see in person. That's why, especially when I talk about retail before in other episodes, retail is dead, everything is online. I mean, there's just some things that you still want to experience. You still got to feel, touch it, even when they're doing it online, right? You're ordering a couple of skirts, dresses, or whatever shirts. You try them on, you fit them on. The ones that don't like, you send them back, right? So there's still an element of actually touching, seeing, feeling, experience, of getting to know, and not just, just clicking it. Because it's one thing to see it, but it's another thing to drive it. And then, if you're starting this game in real estate, man, starting residential, when you have people have listings and you show up to the listing because the pictures were great. So the pictures got you there because everything looked amazing. The clouds were all white. The sky was really blue. The sun was shining. Looked like the house had brand new paint. The interiors look amazing. The grass was really green, but then you show up. Ain't nothing like the picture, man. There's all kinds of issues, interior paint, all that stuff, man. Because somebody did some brush ups and they used they were using Adobe, man, and touched up some stuff. So it's just one of those things, I promote and I believe in as well. Going in, looking, still getting people in because it's still experience, man. At the end of the day, when you want them to sign at least, you're gonna be obligated to them because they're gonna have an expectation. And then if you can't meet that expectation, then you get turnover. And the one thing that I know, especially we're trying to do, looking at affordable housing and workforce housing as opportunities because of the way the demand is, and kind of veer off from what everybody else is doing a little bit. Turnover cost is killer, man. So the less turnover you have, the more money you have to go to the bottom line. And then with that, you're taking care of your tenants. Your tenants stay longer. They stay longer. They're happy. They tell other people, and that just lowers the cost of everything else, right? So forth and so on. So, he's talked about it. The virtualization of it, but there's still element of the people there. And then the guy that that $1 billion worth of multifamily properties in Texas, he was just kind of give his thought process. Kind of what I was already assuming. Rent growth here is strong and probably will continue to be strong for the next 2 to 3 years. He's saying in Austin, it seems like it's ridiculous, around about 8% rent growth. San Antonio here in DFW, 5 to 6. He wasn't so bullish on Houston. He said maybe 4%. I think, based on his answers, he probably had bad experience in Houston. And then he talked about, what they're getting as far as rent. As far as when you look at their trade out analysis, is what the properties that the unit was currently rented at, and was previously was rented at, and now what is currently rented at after a new lease was signed. So that's kind of what the trade out analysis shows. He said that it's really strong. He's recently bought something in Austin. I think he said he bought it for $230 a unit. And I think currently it was 88% leased. Well, before he closed, it was 88% leased, and then at close, it was 97, 98. He talked about cap rates being compressed even further, which, I mean, if you're in the game or doing your due diligence, or you're studying and looking to head to this route to, investing, you would already know that. I mean, like I said, the only thing that has the higher cap rates right now is retail and office. Oh, and hotels. The things that got hammered, the things, the news and big old articles and all that stuff was being shot on Main Street. And what everybody flew to safety for, industrial and multifamily. And you got a lot of money chasing very few opportunities. But also you got a lot of, just money available for financing as well. Because he was saying he got a term sheet, I guess, for that current deal. And I've heard, there are syndicators are getting out there, and it also depends on your track record as well and experience, but they were getting, 2.5, 2.75 interest, 5-year IO, of debt. And I think he said he was getting something similar, 2.75, 5-year IO. And for those who don't know what IO means, interest only. I don't know how long their term is. Probably if it's Class A they were buying, but they probably in there long term. Because a lot of the Class A properties, if you follow them, they kind of struggled a little bit during COVID. So the occupancies went down. If you remember, I don't know what video it was, or episode it was. I talked about that one deal where it was Class A property and it was like, I'll say like 70% occupied, and it had been built for a couple of years. They really struggled. So they was kind of, offering a good deal. Unfortunately, given where I'm at now, I'm not able to take advantage of that. And plus, it was just my focus. But it's one of those things where that's a great opportunity that comes around for those who can take advantage of it. And there was a couple other Class A properties like that. And then I guess one of the guys also was talking about there was a brand new construction deal That was 40, I want to say 40, yeah, probably about 40% leased. They ended up using bridge loan, got 80% loan to value on it. He, but here's the key thing, in his contract, while they're doing the process, he wanted the right to actually manage the property while they were basically in under contract. So what he did was, according to the broker, uh, he was basically saying that he took the property from 43% up to like 65, 70% occupancy, and then was able to get a very, very good loan on it, increase the cash flow, all the good stuff, right? That comes with increasing the income of a property, higher valuation, more money. So that was something unique that he said that he saw in the contract that they agreed to do. Um, and then let's see, yeah, um, people are giving their thoughts about where people are targeting. Austin, Dallas, if you can find it, DFW, you can find it. Houston, but the hidden gem, and it's kind of where I've looked at as well after looking at a couple of deals that come across my desk, is San Antonio. They're talking about the way that things have changed as far as growth, population, demand out there, jobs are coming there. So, like I said, opportunity is abound. So you just got to do your due diligence, find what you like, look at everything. That was one key thing they was also talking about. Look at everything. You don't know what you don't know. You might have thought you wanted to be one place, but realized numbers and the metrics, the fundamentals make sense to be somewhere else. So I'll pass it on as well. And then just one of the other things I wanted to reiterate when I was talking about office, slight detour. When I was talking about there's opportunity coming available there. And so, I always follow what the big, see what the big guys are doing. And it just so happens one of the companies that I own, as far as I'm an investor in, as far as stocks, Brookfield Asset Management. He was having a brief conversation talking about, they were buying office buildings in, obviously the best cities, like the East Coast and overseas, because they were also international investors. But he said they were buying, these office buildings at 40 to 6% discounts. And he said these are great buildings, great infrastructure, great bones. Just got hit bad, during the whole COVID thing, and now they're taking advantage of it. And then he just kind of echoed, that there's going to be a stabilization, referencing Jamie Dimon when he's talking about he's tired of doing these work from home Zoom calls. Everybody needs to be back in the office, and they're going to kind of do a hybrid model. But I just think with the way that interest rates are, schools are opening back up for in-person meetings. I got an email from, because I have kids too, saying they're no longer going to be doing virtual school. They're doing in-person. People have, remote work fatigue. That everybody's coming back to the office. So, as always, leave a like, share, subscribe. Let's continue to build. So yeah, leave a like, share, subscribe. Like I said, one of the credit platform, we all come together, share knowledge, share our experiences, work together, collaborate. As I say, you can't beat a system as an individual. You have to do it together. So working together, collaborating, sharing our knowledge. I always tell you, I don't know everything. I spend most of my time researching, trying to get experience, and then taking action. And knowing that there's a process along the way, especially with trying to do the syndication. So if it's a topic you guys want to discuss, definitely leave a comment below. I'll do my best to see what I can come up with. But yeah, let's share the information, share your knowledge, share your experience. Let's work together, collaborate. If you want to reach out to me, my information's is in the information below. On the site. Join the Facebook group. Let's continue the conversation over there. But yeah, man, let's connect. Let's get to work. Let's take advantage. Let's take advantage of these opportunities. Let's work together to help people find opportunities and educate ourselves. The knowledge is going to be the biggest weapon out there. And so, hopefully this platform, you know, which I'm dedicated to talk about commercial real estate because that's what, they're talking about, right? It's fascination with investing and how people are making so much money off of it, and just different avenues to do it. And you don't necessarily have to just be in one sector because people are making money in other sectors as well. Now, it does require a certain level of skill, certain level of, specialized knowledge, all some that you can have, some that you can dedicate if you want to just focus on that, and some that you can just go out there and just buy. Well, not buy, but, buy in the sense of hire someone that has that specialized knowledge to bring them onto your team. Because this is a team sport. So the best teams win. And that's what I'm looking to do. That's what I'm hoping to create a platform here to have. People that want to be part of great teams, want to collaborate, joint ventures, so forth and so on. So if I can be of any help, definitely reach out. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue to talk commercial real estate investing. Until next time, happy investing. Deuces.
These my dollars make it hurt.